Happy Thursday!
Hi, Eric. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's Thursday. I'm hanging out with Adam Barth, and generally having a good day, good week. How about yourself?
Oh, pretty good. It was really hot here today, so I'm adapting to my new reality.
We cooled the house this morning with the windows open to like 60 something because it's still cold at night, and then by the time it was 90 in the afternoon, it felt pretty decent. So we survived. But so last week we started a new adventure
In Unity,
in
no
Unity. And I cheated and did a little bit of reading, in between last Thursday. So I have some idea what I'm doing now.
less. I not only did some reading, I watched some YouTube videos.
What?
Slow down. They were amazing. They were chopped up into little 5-minute sections, and they're in a playlist. You just have no idea how long they go for. I looked up and it was 1 a.m. and I'm like, what has happened to me? How many of these videos did I watch?
Well, I'm glad that we now have a local Unity expert.
I know enough to be dangerous, maybe. I don't know. We did a lot wrong last week, by the way.
Newsflash! You sent me an article that was Unity for software engineers, which was very helpful because, as a software engineer, Unity did not exactly make a lot of sense to me last week. But,
yeah, I found a lot of the online learning material at Unity was simultaneously teaching Unity, the program, and like concepts, and also like this is an if statement. Like, be careful with if statements; they can cause trouble. And I'm like, yeah, I've been fighting with if statements all my life. I agree. I feel your pain.
True story.
But like, tell me again how to make the ball spin.
Yeah. So last week we built Pong for some definition of Pong, yeah. And I think we had mused after the show last week that maybe we should try, next step up. Maybe we could go to Brickles. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I'm totally in for Brickles.
I hope that we can make the, maybe I secretly or not so secretly hope that we can make the bricks explode as part of Brickles, but that may be beyond our capabilities this week.
Oh, my dream was that we would use some actual. So one of the things I learned in the tutorials is that Unity has a built-in physics engine.
Okay.
And
it's probably helpful.
I thought it might be helpful in Brickles because if you're not familiar with Brickles, the way Brickles works is it's kind of like Pong. You have the paddle along the bottom and you have a ball that bounces up and down. Mm-hmm. But instead of there being a paddle on the top of the screen or the other side of the screen, there's a bunch of bricks.
Yep.
And your goal is to break the bricks with the ball. Yep. And so I thought physics might be cool to bounce off the bricks or I don't know. Yeah. When I was a kid, I played a Brickles game where the different bricks had different functionality. So some of the bricks would, when you hit them, your ball would split in 3.
Yeah.
And now you had 3 balls that you were juggling.
Yep. No, I played a lot of, 90s updated Brickles because Brickles is probably from the 70s. But yeah, so explosions aside, I expect that Brickles or something resembling Brickles will probably take us the entire hour. So shall we get at it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. To the Unity machine. Oh, let me see. I now have 2 machines and 2 cameras because we're so sophisticated these days.
Are you going to switch cameras?
Oh, you believe
oh my gosh. It's the other side of Eric's head.
I do, in fact, have another side of my head.
I had faith.
So we created a whole fresh new project. And it took like 10 minutes. So I was glad that we did it off screen in our second oven. So this has nothing in it. It's just a Unity template. And we're going to now use Adam Barth's amazing Unity knowledge to turn this into Brickles.
I think you're way overselling. Like, it was 1 a.m. I may not remember very much from these tutorials.
Last week we had Adam type. This week we're going to have me type on my broken keyboard. It's going to be amazing. So where do we go?
We need to count the R's. That's the most important thing.
So guide me through, since you don't have a keyboard to press the buttons on. Tell me which the buttons I'm pressing here.
Okay, I think we should try to get back roughly to where we were last episode. So we should have like a paddle and a ball. But instead of trying to manually like set the position of the ball, we should try to use physics to drive the ball.
Okay, so let's start with a ball, maybe. I think you started from like a 3D object last time.
Yeah, I think 3D is cool. And I also learned how to like light and color things, which we can also try to do.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have this thing now. We have a ball. And
So let's add a light to the scene. So what they recommend in this tutorial was a directional light, which is a very simple kind of light.
Okay. And there's like a way to click on my camera somewhere. Main camera. Is this how I add the light?
Oh, no, it's just an object in your scene, just like the ball.
Oh, okay, fine.
And you can animate it or do whatever you want to it.
Object, light, directional light.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah, so now the ball actually
is not in the dark?
It's not just like a dark splotch. It has some reality to it.
Okay.
Oh, maybe Hal 9000 says the ball should be Hal.
Hal? Oh, can I make it red or something?
You can just rename it. Like totally rename it to Hal. I'm in for it.
Okay, Hal. There we go.
Hal, you've now been incorporated into Brickles.
There we go. I don't know what this mesh button does, but
okay. So I learned mesh is its shape. So I think you could, if you wanted to mess with the shape of the ball, you could do it in here.
Yeah, maybe that's later. Okay, I want to go back.
That was not in the tutorial. I'm now lost.
Okay, well, maybe if we click back on Hal. There we go. If we click back on Hal, we get back. Okay, so I think we need to like add some bounds for the ball to bounce around in. Yes, Hal is happy that we named it.
I was going to go more on the visual side. So we can add a material to give it some color.
Okay.
So that's a okay. So I learned the basic concept of Unity, which is there are these game objects that have a bunch of components, and each of the sort of panels in here is a component. Yeah. And the way you make cool objects is you like slap on lots of components. Okay. So we need to slap on the material component to start messing with its visual appearance.
Okay. So whenever I click on this, it like highlights this assets thing over here as though it's wanting me to drag some asset over there.
Right. So we can make a material asset, which we can then apply to the ball, I believe.
So I make a material. New material. Okay. How? Or is that a bad idea to name it the same thing?
So the tutorial also told me that if you're not careful, your assets directory will get out of control complicated. So we may want to make specific names like this is the How material.
Is there like a rename button? There we go. How material.
They also suggested making directories and stuff. I don't know how crazy we want to go. But
yeah, given this is our second ever Unity project, I'm okay with just going spaghetti here.
All right. Yeah. So then we could pick some colors, or make it metallic. Or how do you want to be made of metal or plastic?
Ooh, metallic. Whoa, we can. Okay, so now how do I just like make the light red and then it'll look like Hal? Not exactly like Hal, but
I bet you could change the color of the directional light if you want to change, or you could just make this thing red.
So if I click on Hal, then I drag and drop this into and then I can make the directional light have a color, like it being red. I see. I have to drag it over here in different saturation or whatever. There we go.
I don't know if we want to make the directional light for the whole universe red. This would be like a game taking place in like the depths of hell or something. Like, I think if we want to make the ball red, we should just give it a red material.
Okay, that sounds.
I mean, it could be cool to do Brickles in hell, but I don't want to rain on your parade.
Where do I set the color? Oh. I don't know what this does, but this is a color picker. I don't know what albedo?
Albedo?
Somebody who knows what this is, I'm sure, is like hitting their head and being like, what is he talking about? He has no idea. Okay, there we go. I have no idea what this is. Maybe albedo is wholly different. Or
albedo.
Albedo, RGB, and that's reading for another time. But we have a red Hal doll.
Yeah, I've encountered that term in like astrophysics. They talk about asteroids. Like, what is the albedo of the asteroid? And that means like how dark is it?
Okay.
I don't know.
So, can we make the ball bounce around?
Yes. So the next thing we need to do is we need to give it a rigid body, which will allow it to interact with the physics engine. Okay.
Let's give Hal a rigid body. That is another like asset.
It's not actually an asset. It's a component. So we go to. You want to add the component
here.
Oh no, it's so this will let you add an object. So inside it, so the hierarchy of the universe is scenes, objects, and then internal to objects they have components. So when is it? You see in the lower right, it says add component.
Okay, add component, and that's going to be a
I would just search for rigid body in the search picker. Yeah.
Rigid body 2D, rigid body.
Oh, let's go 3D. I think we may regret being in 3D, but it might be fun.
We might. Okay.
So I learned that use gravity is probably what we want because we want the ball to fall down.
It may not actually be what we want for brickles, right? Because brickles is going to have like a constant velocity.
Oh, it depends. Do you want to play brickles in space or do you want to play brickles on Earth?
I feel like brickles on Earth will eventually. I guess we could make the paddle really bouncy.
Okay, you want to do brickles in space? That's what I'm getting from you.
The brickles in space is the one that I know, so I turned off gravity.
Okay, excellent.
Okay. So now.
So now, we want to give it an initial force,
which means one of these. Okay.
So I think the way to do this is we want to attach a script to it, and then when it starts, we'll give it a force, a little kick.
We did this last week too.
So last week we tried to do it manually.
Okay. Not sure. So I've scaled my my Windows display to help make possible for the viewers to actually read the text. But I think that Windows does not really fully understand pop-up menus when scaled. Hence my difficulty here. But like a C# script?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Okay, so this is how behavior. I have no idea if spaces are kosher or not.
They seem to be working, so.
Okay, so let's go back to how and.
I think you just drag it onto the actual object. Oh, we may need to edit it and make it a.
That's like cheating. Visual Studio Code. To the code machine. Okay, start.
Oh, actually, we're now learning that spaces are bad because the name of this class has to match the name of the file.
Yeah.
And I don't think we can use a space in the name of the file.
No, we can't put spaces in the class. I wonder if we could in HyperCard.
I just wonder why computers hate spaces. Like, what did software engineers ever do to spaces, or vice versa?
Well, they just use them as a delimiter, right?
I guess, but I don't know.
We could use an emoji, not an emoji, like a Unicode space that's not a space.
Oh, it's the old non-breaking space.
Okay. So start. I bet we need like this dot velocity is equal to vector 3. I'm totally. Do you remember?
I do remember. So you're now operating on the game object. So you need to get the rigid body component with get component, and then cool angle brackets rigid body.
Okay.
Yep. And then less cool. Yep. And then we need to go look at the documentation. But I think the rigid body has a function on it like apply force or something. Rigid body seems like a really important thing in Unity. All the tutorials were telling me all about it.
Okay. Rigid body, position. And I'm sorry. Oh, we want to. So this is the thing, not the. Like, how does the rigid body's position? This must be relative to the object that it's inside, which is not what we want.
Yeah, we don't want to modify the position. We want to apply a force to it.
Oh.
Because rigid body has a physics simulation inside of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rigid body has something. Fixed update.
Yes, I also learned about fixed update. So we don't have to program like okay. So this reminds me of in UI frameworks when you have things like request animation frame.
Yeah.
So there's an animation tick that's controlled by the graphical part of the universe. So that's regular update. So when your game is lagging or things are taking time, you'll get fewer regular updates. but some of the things need to actually happen on a precise timing, independent of how much the graphics are being refreshed, and that's what fixed update is. But we don't need to worry about this because the rigid body inside of itself will have all of the physics code. We just need to tell the rigid body to start moving.
Okay, so apply force rigid body unity. The Googles. Add force.
Add force.
May the force be added.
Whoa, what are the different force modes? That's interesting.
Force. The force.
The tutorial did not admit to the fact that there were force modes.
Well, it's an optional parameter. Type of force to apply.
I'm just curious, like what oh, impulse. Whoa.
Force mode. Oh, show me the force mode, like this one. There we go. I'm looking for the enumeration of them. Here we go. Force, acceleration, impulse, and velocity change.
Oh, interesting.
I think you want just velocity change. That feels like the simple thing.
Let's use the default. That's what they use in all the tutorials.
Okay.
Maybe it won't be
continuous force of the rigid body using its mass. Okay. So it was like apply force?
I think it was add force.
Add force. Okay, and then it's like vector 3. And we want something like that. I'm sure that's wrong.
That's going to make it go diagonal some way. But let's try it. Let's try it. See what that does.
Or we can do 1, 2. 2, right? How they be, so we can tell which way it's diagonal. I suspect it won't compile because I think it's supposed to be doubles. Namespace global namespace already contains the definition for HAL behavior.
So we have 2 HAL behavior scripts now. So
why?
Maybe because you were editing it while you were renaming it.
Aha, you are correct, sir. Okay, so if we go back to the unities and we delete, yeah, that's fine. Show me this one. Come on. Oh, there's like a little editor inside Unity. That seems super useful. Because I bet it, oh, no, it's just a...
Oh, it just shows you this stuff.
It just gives me a preview. So I clearly need to work on my Visual Studio Code setup because it should give me more. Namespace type rigid body.
Oh, we probably have to import something.
Okay, this I suspect will tell me, I say M rigid body, get component rigid body.
Yeah, I would look up at the top of their example to see. Oh,
using Unity engine. Okay, that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Okay, this is what I did, and that looks right.
Okay. Did we spell it right?
No, we did not.
Oh, we went
rigid body. We had too many camels.
I thought the camels were all super strong and had.
I thought so too. Rigid body must be
one word.
Speaking of camels, there was this great Twitter thread with Chris Wilson this week, talking about why XML HTTP request had the crazy camelification that it did. Anyways, others can go read it. But they was talking about how the style rules of Microsoft in the 90s made 2- and 3-letter acronyms all capitalized. But once you got 4 and beyond in your letter acronyms, those were sentence case. So it was like
that makes complete sense. I
mean, but I also totally understand because working at Google with a giant code base, which I've done very little in the giant code base, but I worked on Chromium, another giant code base, right? You just sort of have rules, and the rules don't always make sense, but having rules helps you to have one common thing to read.
Yeah, the great thing about the web is you like sprinkle a little bit of somebody's rules, a little bit of somebody
Yes.
else's rules, and
Yes.
you get a beautiful soup.
You do have a beautiful soup. Okay, non-invocable vector 3 cannot be used like a method.
New. It's not cool like Dart. You gotta
Come
say new.
on.
I think every language should adopt this crazy like don't need to say new thing.
Okay, this some editor error I had before. So theoretically this works.
Well, we need to apply the behavior, right? We haven't actually applied it.
We didn't?
No, we tried, and it got mad because there was a space.
Is it? Okay. If you hit the play button again, it stops. That's odd.
Yeah, that's super weird.
Why doesn't it change to a stop button? Okay. Okay, so I applied it. Drum roll, please.
The suspense builds.
I don't think it's doing anything.
Okay. Oh, it did. It just was a little thing. Try multiplying by 100. When in doubt, yeah, it's going. It's just going super slow.
It's totally going. There was something in the rigid body documentation about how a common failure mode of rigid bodies is that it feels like things are in slow motion.
Oh, what are you supposed to do?
Game physics computer run in slow motion.
Okay. I see. So they're saying use bigger numbers? Yeah, so
okay.
So 1 unit is 1 meter. I get that. But what is a unit of force? Like 1 Newton?
Well, that's why I think we just want the direct velocity, right? We just want to give it a velocity as opposed to applying a force. But
I could see that to initialize it. We could try that. Like, see if there's like a way of setting the velocity. Whoa.
There you go. Whatever. It's a game. Like we painted an. We're not gonna debug our brushstroke. Our brushstroke is in the general correct direction.
Can I suggest that we make our brushstroke go down instead of up if we're going to put the paddle on the bottom?
Oh, sure. But you mean in terms of the initial starting?
Go to
negative.
Anyway, we'll probably eventually want to start in like a random direction or something. But
let's add boundaries. I want the sucker to bounce around.
Okay.
I remember we read about this last time, that one of the ways to do this is you have like a script that when it loads up, it takes and it builds little components that are at your screen edges. Do you like have that in your brain, or do we have to
we can figure that out? So one of the things I learned in the tutorial is a common pattern is to create a game object that has no physicality to it, that exists purely to hook the engine. And so that sounds like that's what we want here, is we want to hook the start of the engine and create more objects.
So what should we call that?
You want to create empty is the
create empty?
Yep.
Okay.
So you can call it like game controller or something.
What?
We need to take a collection for getting you a new keyboard.
Well, I did tell you.
Chili.
We were discussing what my next purchase for my setup is, and we came to the consensus a keyboard would be the correct next purchase.
Well, that will lose an important source of humor for the show.
Okay. So we have our game controller. Now we add a behavior to it, I assume.
Yeah, I think so.
Does it need to have like the special game controller behavior name?
You can name it whatever you want, but
I see. Init.
Well, it may do more than init. It may track like global rules.
But... Okay. How do I rename? Global. Whatever. We'll call it game controller. Okay. So I remember there was like tutorial. We like found some Stack Overflow, which basically is what we wanted to do. So maybe we should to the Stack Overflows.
We could, sure. Do you have that handy? We can also try to figure it out. So there's a thing called instantiate, which will let us create game objects dynamically.
Bounce off edges on screen unity. This For anyone who doesn't know, this is exactly how you do professional programming, by the way. Type it into Google, you copy off of Stack Overflow.
You are inspired by Stack Overflow.
Yeah.
You don't want to actually take their exact.
Yeah, you're inspired by it. No, but it's the professional programming is all in like keeping it all in your head and debugging it and understanding the system. But there is definitely some inspiration from how the rest of the world, the prior art, shall we say. Okay. How bounce balls off screen bounce? I don't think this is the one. Okay, it's something like this. Yeah. Okay, should we go about this? I feel like we should get back to the typing. I feel like me searching Stack Overflow is not.
I think we have all the information that we need.
Yeah, it's something like this. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think we should create some wall objects and then try to instantiate them and then try to place them correctly.
Okay, so if we created a wall object,
yes,
that would be just like this, right? We're going to have a 2D object. And we're going to make more of them, right?
Let's go with a 3D object. Like, why not?
Or sorry, a 3D object.
Like a cube. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we only need to make one, and then we're going to instantiate many copies of it.
Yep.
Yeah. So
in fact, what does this do?
That's called enabling it. So that makes it appear or disappear in the game world. So if it can be in the world, but not enabled, which means it's taking up memory and stuff, but just doesn't.
Well, we don't actually need it to be in the world.
Yeah, we could. Well, what's going to happen is we're going to turn it into a thing called a prefab, which is we're going to make it into an asset, and then we'll be able to instantiate as many copies of it as we want.
Okay.
So
walk me through that.
Well, let's configure it to make it like sort of what we want. So we're going to want to give it a material.
I don't know how to like drag it around. Is that not a thing you can do?
You should be able to. You can also just edit its transform. But we're also going to mess with the transform when we.
That's fine. You were saying, sorry, we want to give it a material.
Yes.
But like, it doesn't need to be drawn at all. Like, it doesn't even need a renderer.
Oh, you don't want the walls to be visible. You want them to be invisible.
Oh, sure. I guess we could have. Well, of course, we have them visible. That's fine. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, okay, let's start like this. So if you drag it down into assets, it will become a prefab.
Okay.
And now we can instantiate it. So if you see in the game scene how it turned blue on the left of your screen, that means this is now an instance of that prefab. So you can just remove it from your scene because we don't need it to be there when we start.
Okay.
And now in our startup script, we want to instantiate the wall prefab, which I don't fully remember how to do, but we can try to figure it out.
We can also ask the interwebs.
Yeah, there's a function called instantiate. So I search for instantiate prefab.
There was this great game. It was like a hypercardy game kind of thing. It was about like fungus. I have to figure out what it was because I have to like those sounds that I'm saying are the victory sounds in the fungus game that I played when I was 8, and it's now like burned into my brain.
Oh yeah, you're totally in the headspace of making a game. That's awesome. Oh yeah, this is totally it. Okay, so when it says public game object prefab, we'll use the editor to make the association with the actual.
Yeah, just like good old interface builder. Okay, so this is like walled prefab. I keep wanting to like change. I'm so used to being on the Mac and wanting to be able to change application screens. Okay, I don't know what this
the quaternion. So that has to do with its rotation. Quaternion is like super fancy math for rotation.
That's what I need in my life, more super fancy math. Okay, so this presumably is telling us where. We're also going to need to resize it.
Yes, we're going to let's get that sample code for getting the coordinates of the screen in Game World. I think you have it open in one of your tabs.
This kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
like this. Okay. Main screen to world point. Okay. Yeah, fine. So this is like, okay. Yeah, makes sense.
So maybe we can use the vector here. So I guess we want to instantiate 4 of these, right?
Yeah.
Or no, probably only 3, right? Because we want the ball to fall off the bottom.
I think for now we want 4 because we're just going to have the ball bounce around. That was my sort of next, in terms of our like spinning square that we're trying to set up.
Yeah, that sounds legit.
But like each of these, I don't know if the instantiate returns.
Yeah, it returns a object that you can mess with further.
Is var even a thing?
I have no idea. I don't actually know C#. Like this episode is coming off like I totally know Unity, but like we're very quickly
this much more than I do. Go ahead.
Yes, we're very quickly going to exhaust my level of knowledge that I gained from these tutorials.
That's okay. You'll write more. You'll do more 1 a.m. YouTube viewing, and then you'll be set for next week.
This is like the fake it till you make it like theory of life. Like,
yes, I subscribe to this theory.
You have to present it with like maximum confidence. Oh yeah, you totally instantiate a prefab. That's how you do it. Obviously.
Okay, so we've instantiated our prefabs and our var thing that I'm sure is not actually valid, because Java is strong, or C# is strongly typed. I'm sure, right? I have no idea what I'm talking about.
I don't know. Like you got me. So we need to do some math here to figure out what.
Yeah, we need to like size these things.
Oh wait, they had something. Game object.transform.position.
Yeah, that's the. But we also want to like make them.
Well, the transformer's got to have other properties on it, like the scale and stuff. Like I bet if we search for Unity transform, it's gonna have all the things we need to mess with.
But is it a transform that we want? I guess we are transforming this cube. We're not like setting its. We're just right. Like if you want to make a cube 2x4, you set a 2x4 scaled transform, or do you set a size 2x4?
No, you just mess with the transform.
Okay.
Like in the editor, that's how you would resize it, right? You'd set the transform panels.
Okay, so top. Part of me really wants this to be like. This is okay. Maybe we should do like one of these to start with, because we have to do a bunch of math here.
So top, the y is going to be 0.
Top dot transform.
Okay. Oh, the other thing that's important to know is that the anchor point for cubes and I think all objects is in the center. Yeah. So we want to mess with. We need like a positive half and a negative half.
So transform, we're going to want to be, so for the top, you're going to want this to be at like your x. Is the center of the scene 0, 0?
I think that, yeah.
Okay. So
yes, with maximum confidence. I don't know, Eric. Like,
and is the 0 in the top left or bottom left?
Oh, so we learned from the ball that when we gave it negative velocity, it went down. So that tells me that
presumably it starts at 0. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think it's mathy. So it uses a like right-hand coordinate system. So it's the opposite of Flutter. In Flutter, we made positive y go down the screen because.
Okay, so I think that we want this to be stage dimensions dot y and then 0. I'm sure this isn't right.
I think you want to divide by 2. Well, first of all, transform expect as a matrix, so we should look up the documentation to see how to mess with the y scale component.
Oh, I bet you're right. Position,
yes. The internet has told us.
Okay.
But I think you actually just say position.y equals. And then you can skip the whole.
Yeah, that's so much better. for some reason, like a different part that we were dealing with, you like couldn't modify the position of like this. You had to like make a new copy of it or something. So I don't know whether this is going to work. Remember last week?
Yeah. Well, I think you want to divide by 2 here again.
Yep, you're right. Okay, so that's the y. And then we're going to need top.transform.scale.
Presumably x.
X is equal to
stage dimensions x divided by 2.
And then dot scale dot y is equal to dot y divided by, I don't know what we want.
We'll just leave it as 1 unit just so we can see what we're doing. You're missing an S in your transform on line 15. Also, we totally just made up scale and x, but
yeah, I mean, when we go back to Unity, it's going to tell us it doesn't compile. Cannot modify the return value of transform position because it's not a variable.
Okay.
Isn't that what I see?
Oh, they want you to assign the whole vector. Okay, we'll just assign the whole vector.
This is the same thing as last week, right?
Yeah. All right. I thought.
So this is vector. We clearly need to work on the editor setup this week. Okay.
Yeah, you can have the same problem with scale, and also you totally need more news.
It's so that you don't know what you got till it's gone kind of feeling about.
I just remember like epic discussions about the new. Like, how could you remove new? How could you instantiate the objects? Like,
I just remember our PM at the time was so it was so important to him that we removed new, and I feel like I was in the camp of but now that it's gone, I'm glad it's gone. Can I convert from float double to what?
Yeah, your zeros. I would go with no dots. Less dots.
Oh,
more Fs. I don't know whether it's going to work or not. Yeah,
argument 2.
You need an F. Oh, scale is not a thing. We just made it up.
Okay. Unity trans.
We've been caught.
Okay. This is transform. Yep. I want transform. Show me the transform. The one labeled transform.
Properties. Local. Okay.
Local scale?
I don't know. So wait, so position, rotation. Oh, look, there's a right and a left. So
red axis? What's a red axis?
Well, I don't know.
What does left do?
There's no left.
Oh, maybe this is like normal?
Oh, like a perpendicular, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Local rotation, local scale, relative to the game object's parent. Okay, sure.
Okay. So how do we scale it?
I'm just looking to see if there's some method that would.
Yeah.
I mean, we can just set the local scale and see. Find it. Lossy scale. Oh, that's read only.
What is local?
What does it return? It's a vector 3. Okay.
The scale. Wait, can we read what it said here? I just was curious.
No.
So scale okay.
Create primitive. Primitive type sphere.
Okay. That's the position.
I wonder if they have
scale. I think scale is totally what we're local scale is totally what we want.
Yeah. Local scale. More camels. New vector 3.
But these camels are not strong. They have weak heads.
They're not classes.
Oh.
I think the class camels.
But like
thing-
screen to world point has a strong.
What
Sorry,
I love is
we're
that
getting.
VAR is not.
It seems happy
complaining.
with VAR. Like it hasn't complained about VAR yet.
It just complains about the doubles and the floats. You gotta have your doubles and your floats be the same.
Oh,
that again is another Dartism.
Well, in Dart, it's only one thing. There aren't floats. There are only doubles.
Correct. Yeah, because you have to be able to convert to JavaScript where there are not floats either.
Should we try to run this and see what this did? Like, it compiles. It must work.
I mean, we have no idea. Like,
oh, we didn't. Do we attach the behavior to the game controller?
I mean, we didn't set up. Oh, well, why doesn't it like show me a log or like a?
No, the game controller behavior.
Well, we also need.
Do we misname the class again? Class init.
Yes.
Okay.
Game controller. Compiling. Making compiling. Why won't it let me drag it? Rawhide. Did it work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, we need to set the wall prefab to the right object. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's try it.
I don't see it.
Oh, it's in the scene. Can you click on it?
It's a clone.
Yeah.
Is this like it running? I can like inspect it while it's running?
Yeah. This is the future.
Okay. X is 6.
It's a weird number, but okay. So can you set its position to 0, 0? Oh, look, its Y scale is 0. We need to set the Y scale to 1. Like, I think it's infinitely thin.
Yep. Yeah, no, that was a total mistake on my part. And presumably one for the Z as well.
I think you're going to need more Fs.
Unknown. I have no idea what this is.
Oh, but we have it.
Okay, so that's our wall. It's wrong, but that's our wall. You know what? I bet we're mixing and matching height and width. Little scale, X.
Maybe we shouldn't divide by 2.
Oh, yeah, we probably shouldn't divide by 2. That makes sense.
In the Y also. Let's try not dividing by 2 in the Y.
That makes less sense.
Let's try it. Oh, you can try it this way, or if you want. I just noticed it was sort of half the size, but
yeah, it did. I agree with your perception. Is like Unity compiling when I switch to it? Also, I have no idea what this means. See, like,
it's still not quite right.
Huh. Okay.
So hold on, let's try to figure out what's
screen to world point.
But X. I feel like it didn't change. Like we should, the scale should have changed by a factor of 2.
Did it not compile? Also, what is this weird error?
Yeah, so maybe we should figure these things out. So the game controller.
I have no idea what these buttons do. I'm just pressing buttons. Maybe that error is resolved. Okay, so what happens if we make this?
Okay.
This is not hot reload, by the way.
That looks good. So
well, we have no idea what it extends past.
Well, we can multiply it by like 1.8 or something. Yeah.
But why would it be?
So if the width and if our so I think that's right. If our stage dimensions are half the size.
Oh, you know what? I bet screen height and width is it a different rotation? Like this could be in portrait mode.
No, I think just try getting rid of the divide by 2 on top and leaving the multiply by 2 on the bottom. Here's my theory. My theory is that stage dimensions is the distance from the origin to the edge of the screen. And in the scale, you have to do twice because you have to go both to the left and right edge. But in Y, you only have to do once because you only have to get to the edge.
Okay, you were correct. Your theory seems valid. Well, let's do them.
Yeah, let's spam it out.
We haven't gotten as far as we need to, but this is really quite. I feel like we should write a function for this.
We should also, given that the instantiate takes a position, we don't have to also set the position. We could just pass that in at the constructor time.
Yeah. Okay. So add wall vector 3.
Position and local scale makes total sense.
Sure. I mean, that's, I would say this is not perfect, but.
I think your A is supposed to be capitalized.
Which A?
The A in add.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I gotta learn the style here. I also want to return this thing. I don't know what it is, though.
It's a game object.
Okay. And so now we want add wall and like this feels wrong. Like what we want is like float x, float y.
Okay.
Or pause x, float pause y. And then we want float pause scale x. These aren't quite. It's like it's like center x, center y, and this is width and height. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so now this is then. This is
center y. Yeah.
This is center x.
I'm sure there's some awesome mathy way of doing this, but this is the.
Oh, we're totally getting to. So are we going to need to 2x now? This is width. This is height. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's legit.
It's a little weird because you actually want 1.0 for height. But okay, let's try this. So add wall is then 0 and and 0. Hold on. And this, and then 1.
I think that it was a little too thick with 1. I'd go with a half. Like, just aesthetically, I thought the wall was too thick.
That's fine. I mean, now you're going to make me do this. Bar wall thickness.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, I can't.
It's cool. I support this.
I can't like not write maintainable code after too many years.
Well, it's really important to know that that's a thing you could change, but it's different from the 2.0, which is some kind of like intrinsic property of your algorithm here.
I'm also anticipating you're going to tell me you wanted 0.75 here in about 2 seconds, and I don't want to change it in 4 places.
Well, okay, you want to be really cool? Make it a public member of the class, and then you can adjust it in the editor.
What?
What indeed?
Oh my goodness.
Public float, man.
Okay. Stage dimensions. All right, so these are not quite right. So we were going to want, so this is.
Well, let's do the bottom wall. We'll just stick a minus in the y. It'll be easy.
So this is top with more p's. Bottom.
Yeah.
And then left is going to be x, except it's going to be like minus x. 0. And then this is 0.
Well, it's wall thickness. Yeah.
Okay, and this is then y. And then this, right?
I believe so. I'll try running it and see.
I wish that the editor would complain in here as opposed to when I get to Unity.
I bet if we had a cooler extension for Visual Studio Code, it would do that.
Yeah, again, that's on the list. What?
So it didn't bounce.
It didn't bounce.
It hit the wall.
We don't have a collision behavior or like a mesh or whatever in the wall.
Oh no, it did hit and collide. It just there was no like elasticity. We'd have to write a little bit of code to apply a force to the ball when it encounters the wall.
Or set the elasticity.
Yeah, I don't know if we can. So we can play around with the pre-built and see if we can mess with the elasticity.
Bounce.
The impression I got from the tutorials is that they're expecting you to write that kind of physics in code.
Physics material.
Bounciness. Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you want 1, like no loss of energy, basically.
So we should go back to editing mode. You're currently in play mode, and then you want to edit your pre-built,
which I'm doing.
Well, is it who needs the bounciness? Does the wall need the bounciness, or the ball need the bounciness? I bet it's the wall. I bet it's the ball that needs the bounciness. The wall is like this rigid, immovable thing, but if we give the ball some bounce, then it'll bounce around.
Okay, we certainly could try that. I also think that the ball is likely to be the thing that has like variable bounciness. Or not the wall, sorry. The ball is going to bounce differently, like off the paddle and stuff. And I don't know whether like that bounciness is on the ball.
I don't know. We can start with it on the ball and see where this gets us.
Yeah, we can always move it. Okay.
Can you go back to that webpage? What its bounciness was really intriguing, but I forgot what it was. Physics, properties, stone.
Physical material. I see.
Oh, I see. Okay, so we do asset create a physical material. That's cool.
Okay, so this thing. Physical material. Okay. Bounciness. 1.
Yeah, why don't we name this something like how physics or something?
Okay, I've applied it to Hal, theoretically.
Should I try it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Why?
Click on the thing. Did it lose its bounciness now? Rigid body. I'm not sure where the physical material shows up on this thing. How strange that it only bounced once.
Yeah. That's not the behavior I was expecting at all. So what happens? Like when we look at this, does it have a physical material that it later loses? What does this do? Preset. Collision detection discrete. Yeah?
Right. I feel like its physical material is not attached strongly enough.
Oh, here it is. Material Hell physics.
Oh, okay.
Sphere collider. Okay. And do we lose it when it bounces? Bounces great the first time. It does seem to lose some speed.
Maybe they both need it. So let's see.
There's also the physics has this like dynamic friction and static friction. I have no idea what those do. Friction combine, bounce combine, like.
Okay. A value of 0 will not bounce. How the friction of the two objects is combined. I see. So how the bounciness is combined. So we want to set the bounciness to only care about so we could either make the walls equally bouncy, or we could change the combining function for the two objects. I kind of think we should make the walls super bouncy.
So you would just put this in this?
Yeah, we want to rename it from Hell physics to bounce physics or bouncy or something. If we're going to use it for more than just that, the Hell.
Okay, done.
So I'm curious, did it keep its association with?
I would totally expect it to.
Whoa.
Okay. We still have like I feel like we're losing.
Maybe we need to set the friction to 0 or something.
Yeah, like we want dynamic friction, which is the moving friction, and the static friction to 0. We're in space.
We're in space. Everything is awesome. Oh, we were in play mode, so it's the edits you make there I think are not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Where's bouncy physics?
There we go.
Oh, it did say. It scared us for no reason.
There we go. That looks more. Yeah. Now we don't have any friction. Oh,
maybe we didn't make the sidewalls bouncy?
How is that possible?
How is that possible? Good question.
Let's try it again. See all our clones. They should all have bouncy physics.
Can you check them all? Yeah. So we should also do a time check. So we're at coming up on an hour here.
It is time, but
we did not get to making exploding bricks, but I feel like we have
so close though.
We have a way more solid foundation for this game than in our first attempt.
Yeah.
Like I think we need to work on our physics a little bit, but I feel like if we put in bricks and a paddle and stuff, it would kind of like.
Yeah. I'm like imagining this is a mobile game. I don't know. We're not going to get there. Or who knows what we'll get to, but like, you probably put this, whatever. Yeah. I'm excited to play our game when we get there. All right. So I think we're just going to call it.
Yeah, I think this is a great point. We basically got a little bit farther than we had before, and with physics.
Well, excellent then. Here, I can actually talk to you. Dun, dun, dun. This is like the Mr. Rogers part where I put on my red cardigan and thank you for being my neighbor.
Back to camera 1. Well, Eric, this was a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun. I had always fun with you.
I feel like I'm like more idea what I'm doing in Unity this time around.
Yeah.
And I hope that we can like do something even more cool next episode.
Yeah. Maybe with exploding bricks, you know? So anyways, you have a wonderful week. Viewers, you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next Thursday.
See you.